Thank you, comrades. First of all, I'd like to pay tribute to all those trade unions who are brave in taking on the government over pensions. And I know that Mark Sawaka, when he speaks later, we talk about their unions took a fantastic stance and has shined an example to all of us to follow. So, you know, let's keep that work up. I'm proud to lead a union that actually was going to second the motion of the TUC on the feasibility of a general strike. And this is when, first Sunday I got there, I was earwigged by another general secretary from another rightish wing union who was talking about these lefties from the POA who were going to move a motion. How were we going to do? And we told them we were going to second it if we had the opportunity, until it became fashionable for the bigger unions maybe to join in, and therefore we sort of got relegated down there. But it was interesting to see that a what can I say? It was great to see a good mate of mine, Steve Gillen, go from Sunday being a pariah to a messiah on the Tuesday after he finished. But it is only, the motion they called for was only to consider the feasibility of it. And I'd like to think that the TUC will get a few balls and start looking at what, you know, is happening to working people in the country. There's absolutely no danger. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult because members fear. People are going to be worried about the jobs. There's going to be the threats from the employer. And we face it like public services. We face it in private industry every single day. Yep. There's going to be the threat of judicial sequestration. Yeah. So what? There's going to be government anti-legislation that's going to go against trade unions if we look for a general strike. But there's nothing new in that, particularly when we talk about the Tories.
Bring it on.
I think, well, of course, when we march on Saturday, you know, I think there's a number of things that we're looking for. If we're going to retain the terms and conditions that we have in the workplace, then we've got no choice but to fight. What we have, we've fought for. What we have, we've sacrificed many things for over the years. Yep. And I believe as trade unionists and as socialists, what we have an honour-bound duty to defend for the people who come in the future. If we want public support on Saturday and in the future for a general strike, then we've got to be prepared to look beyond workplace issues. We've got to look at defending our National Health Service. We've got to look at making sure that everyone has an equal opportunity in education. We've got to look at the benefit system, and never mind what the Tories are where they're turning, demonising people who are on benefits. It's absolutely ludicrous. We've got to look at employment, full employment for everyone. And we've got to look at housing. And we don't have to go more than 200 yards from here to find people sleeping rough. And that is a national tragedy that every one of us, and going before, we should be ashamed of. We should be turning, you know, what we've got, the wealth in this country, to making sure that people have decent homes. Yeah. In essence, we've got to be defending the very pillars that the welfare state was built on. Our aim has got to be to develop economic, political and social policies that benefit not only the profit takers, but also the profit makers, the people who actually generate the wealth in this country. There's nothing wrong with wealth creation. What's wrong is how, when they've got it, they distribute it. That's the problem that we've got. I'm actually sick to the back teeth with some of the cliches that come out of it. All in it together. I mean, what exactly does that mean?
It's him. It's him in his back pocket.
They're in the money, and we're in the shit. And I'll tell you what, we've got to stand up, and we've got to fight before we're up to our necks in it. Yep. We're getting nearer and nearer to that day. So we said last week, listened to one of the reports on television, that Cameron is a man of substance. I suppose the only good thing out of it sort of legitimises substance abuse, doesn't it? if substance is measured by wealth, then of course he's a man of substance. But if substance measured by morality and principles and policies and compassion, then the man is absolutely devoid. He wants aspiration for employers. I listened yesterday, I'm from Liverpool, I listened to a programme on Radio City yesterday when I was driving down here, and they were talking to an old businessman on there saying, oh, it's great, he aspires, he wants businessmen to get out there and create jobs and get people back in. But what about the aspirations of ordinary working people? What about the aspirations to have a house? I don't even mean own a house. What about the aspirations of having a decent roof over you, having a decent health service and all those sort of things? Clearly the pursuit of austerity is a road to destruction and despair. You can't cut and save your way out of a recession. If we're going to have a financial recovery, then we've got to invest in it. And The Liberal economist John Maynard Keynes advocated investment in times of recession. And you know, as a policy it worked, didn't it? It got the American economy going in the 30s. It rebuilt Western Europe ever since. You know, bankers created the problems for us. No reprisals. But now Cameron and Clegg are telling us that we can't leave debt for future generations. Well, you know, think about World War II, the debt that was created then. We only finished paying that debt off in December 2005. And I lived in Liverpool in terraced houses, and I don't ever remember anybody saying, look at the mess that our forefathers left us in. We didn't even know we were in debt. We just carried on, we got on with it, and it worked very well. Investment against adversity, and it's paid dividends for us all. Colleagues, we've got to rebuild the welfare state, and we can do that again. We've got to make sure that we don't allow governments to sidetrack us. And on the 20th of March, it isn't just a bunch of trade unionists marching to defend the terms and conditions of trade unionists. It's not just a bunch of us marching to castigate a heinous, discredited government. We've got to send a message out for the future to a future Labour government that we're not going to accept just another shade of blue. Our demands have to be met. Jobs for all with a decent living wage. The return of our National Health Service. Equality in education and opportunity. Nationalisation of the banks. And I'll tell you, renationalisation of the utilities, particularly when you see what's happening with the gas and electricity now. Protective legislation that protects you at work. They're taking away health and safety legislation because it doesn't matter to their kids, because their kids are bankers and judges and doing all those sort of things. Our kids are the ones down on the coal face who are actually going to be in danger. So we want protective legislation. Comrades, we should be proud of our demands and committed to attain them. We don't want shares for employment rights, because they haven't got boardrooms that are big enough to take us all. If we want members to follow, though, we as trade union leaders have got to be sure that we lead. We've got to make sure that we take the lead. We've got to take our opponents head on. If sequestration is an option, then okay, it's an option. We've worked with that money before, and maybe we've got to carry on doing that in the future. The TUC's got to lead the attack. It's got to lead, promote and unite. Comrades, I think the case for a general strike is proven. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for listening.